who wants to fail? But it's going to be part of it, and you just need to accept that.
Yeah.
And you know what? You know, you're not unreal.
Yeah.
You're going to fail. Like
Yeah.
it's going to happen, and that's okay. But just keep going.
All right, welcome to the CrossFit by Design podcast. This is episode number 2. Good to see you, Brendan. How are you going?
Excellent. How are you?
Very good, very good. So today, I wanted to talk a bit about goals and how you make progress towards your goals, some of the important aspects of setting them. So just to start off with, first of all, why should I even care about goals?
Well, you should care about them because they're the things that are going to make you happy. So most positive emotion is going to come from the pursuit of a worthwhile goal. It's not necessarily going to come from attaining things. It's going to be from seeing that what you're doing is working in the pursuit of your goal. That's what's really going to make you happy.
Yep.
And, you know, however you want to... So Josh Bridges talks about it really well, and like in simple terms. He talks about, you know, he's a CrossFit athlete for anybody who doesn't know. And just sitting in his gym, he's like, hey man, like it's awesome to go to the CrossFit Games, but if you don't enjoy the daily grind of being in the gym, and then you're just not going to last. Yep. So you could take that and extrapolate it out to any subject or anything you're doing. Okay. And it's that the pursuit of the goal, if that's what makes you happy, then long term.
So kind of like making progress, I guess, making progress towards your goal, not necessarily ticking off the goal itself. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly, yeah. And then, but that's why goals are important, because you need to have something to pursue, and then that's where that positive emotion is going to come from.
I guess it's similar to mastery. You never actually achieve full mastery in something. You're always just progressing towards mastery in something. It's the chasing of that, which is...
Yeah, absolutely. It's just moving the needle. Yep. So not even, you know, just take your goals within your relationships. Like if you're improving your relationships only a small amount each day, that's pretty good. And then that's in turn bringing you happiness, and it's making your friends and family happier, and it's just like the pursuit of the goal is, you know, you should care because that's where a lot of positive emotion is going to come from.
That's good. And I guess that's a little bit different to most people's current mindset, which would probably be, unless I tick off that goal, I'm not going to be happy. So I guess maybe shifting people's mindset from, okay, unless I see that tick box, you know, ticked, I've got the good relationship now, changing that rather to making progress and seeing, as you said, the needle move should be what inspires people to actually see that they should be happy seeing that the needle's being moved and they're making progress rather than just being happy if the goal's been achieved.
Yeah, and that's not to say, I completely agree with that. But having a goal won't mean you're just happy all the time. Like in the pursuit of a goal, there are going to be times where you're miserable. Like it's just not going to happen. Like, I've got a goal, so I'm sweet, I'm always going to be happy. There will be times that you're miserable and you're down and you're questioning your goal, but having that goal in the first place and making those, you know, moving the needle each day and making steps towards that will make that unhappiness worthwhile. Like it's easy to justify that because you've got this bigger picture.
Long-term contentment as opposed to just short-term gratification.
Yeah, exactly. Because I don't want to get caught up in, you know, I don't want to say, you know, if you've got a goal, everything's going to be sweet. Like you're going to be fine. Like,
Nope.
Exactly. Like it's a worthwhile goal. Like, so a lot of people might not know that, like you run your own charity and that's a massive goal. But there are some tough times in there, and it's a very positive goal. You know, Computers for Congo, anybody, I'd recommend you check it out. But it's not like it's all, hey, I run this charity, life's sweet, like it's so easy. That's not it at all. But you've got that thing to hold on to. Yeah. So,
and the end goal is almost so far off that it's almost never achievable. So therefore, it's the progress of moving towards that goal that actually is quite fulfilling.
Yeah. So take it like, and not to, I know you probably want to move on, but what if you have no goals whatsoever? Then you're lost. There's what positive emotion do you have to experience if you're just going through the grind? Like, and I'm sure you've heard people say that, like, back to the grind. Fuck, man, like, that sounds terrible. Like, I don't want to do that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, speaking of the grind and making progress, how do you make progress? If we're talking about we're seeking the progress towards the goal rather than the goal. Well, how do I actually make progress towards it then?
Routine. Get Google Calendar, install it on your phone, and start going to work.
Yeah.
Having said that, I know a lot of people, and myself included, not long ago, I used to think of it as a routine as like, okay, so I've got my week set out, and then I'm just going to try and fill it with as many things as I possibly can. That is a terrible way to do it. Because you see a time slot, it's like, oh man, I got like time slots all over the week. I can fill that with trying to achieve my goal. More things. Like, let's just fill this thing up. And then that is a terrible idea.
Yeah, but at least then when someone asks you how you're going, you say, oh, I'm busy, man. Oh, I'm so busy. Tell you what.
Oh, yeah.
So busy.
We're all busy, aren't we? Like, that's that ego thing, like, oh, I'm so busy. But more what I'm talking about is have a routine, but don't tyrannize yourself. Like, don't be your own tyrant. So what if, like, what if I'm your boss? Well, I'm not really boss. We work together more than anything. Let's say I'm your boss, right? Okay. And you got a 7-day calendar, and I just fill it with work, and that's it. And you're like, well, when do I have time off? And I'm like, no time off. Like, how would you respond to that as an employee?
Get some.
Yeah. How would any normal person respond to that as an employee?
You suck.
You'd be like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like and yet you do it to yourself with your own calendar, with your own routine. It's like, build in little reward systems along the way, because you're making progress, so reward yourself. Like, you will fail, or maybe you won't fail, but you'll be miserable if you just every ounce of my spare time, I'm just working on this goal. There's no point where I schedule in a little reward. Like, hey, this week, Tuesday, I'd already reached my target for what I want to be. Say you've mapped out your goals and you've done the whole thing. Like, by the end of the year, I want to achieve this. So each week I need to do at least this. Let's say by come Tuesday, you've already spent the 2 hours you were going to spend on your goal. Hey man, have a break. Like, any worthwhile goal, to come back to the charity, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So dial it back. Get your routine in place, but have a little reward system. And it can be as simple as going to get a coffee, man. Like, hey, you done my work? I'm going to go get a
And do you think part of the mentality that people have in that sense, where they don't plan, breaks or rest or reward for them, is because they think, you know what, I'm going to make more progress if I just cram more in, and maybe because they don't realise that actually having rest is actually going to be beneficial for them in the long run, because obtaining that balance allows you to be more effective than just like grind, go.
Absolutely. It's the same thing we deal with in here. It's like, hey, rest is a part of the program, but I feel like I'm not. Surely there's more I could be doing than resting. It's like, well, hang on, rest is very important. Like, sleep is rest. What if I took your sleep away from you? You're not going to do too well. Okay, so resting as part of the program, or reward as part of the program, it's a big part of the program. And if you don't feel like you're doing anything, hey man, you're not alone. Like, everybody who's ever done anything worthwhile has felt exactly the same way. But it just comes from, I think it comes from, Instagram and all this, like, no days off. Like, I just grind. Like, I get up at 4:30 and then I go to bed at like 8:30 at night. Well, actually, no, that's not too bad.
I get up 3 hours before I go to bed, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just like, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Like, let's just come on. Like, that motivation stuff, hey, that's cool. Like, sometimes you need a kick in the ass, but...
Okay, well, how about that? Speaking of those things that could be detrimental, what are some of the things specifically that could actually halt my progress?
I think from the get, some things... define what your goal... Be very specific about what your goals are, and really define what constitutes a failure. So you're going to know what's halting your progress, kind of thing. And I think that's important. So I don't know if this is really answering your question, but really be specific about what your goals are and define what it is when you fail. Because that's important. Like, if you're just real blasé about your goals, most people will be real blasé about their goals because they don't want to define what a failure is, because who wants to fail? But you're giving yourself an out if you don't really just go, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and if I don't, I fail.
Right, okay,
So I would say that's your first step.
So in other words, saying that if you're not specific, maybe that's because you're scared that if you do be specific, you'll know specifically when you fail.
Yeah, and of course you are. Like that's who wants to fail, but it's going to be part of it, and you just need to accept that.
Yeah.
And you know what? You know, you're not unreal.
Yeah.
You're going to fail. Like
Yeah.
it's going to happen, and that's okay. But just keep going. And I would say that's another thing that might halt your progress is if you think that the failure, like losing a small battle, like loses the war. That's not true. Like, learn from it. You failed. Accept that. Like, I don't like the whole like, oh, I don't fail. I just learn. It's like, well, hang on. You can't learn until you accept that you failed first. So you failed. Learn from it, and then just move on. And not like we talked about in the beginning. There's going to be bad times, but don't let those bad times completely derail you. So everybody in that pursuit of their goal, they're going to have hard times, they're going to fail, but learn from it. Don't complain. Just dust off.
And I reckon another thing on top of that is when people have too much of a macro or an overview picture, and they see the end goal and the big picture too much, and then see that if they're not really making heaps of progress towards that big picture, then they think, okay, this isn't working, instead of looking at the individual process day by day, and knowing that if you've got a specific goal, and to achieve that goal, you've got the specific day-to-day tasks that you need to accomplish. If you don't recognize that, okay, today I did 2 hours of reading, of research towards my particular thing, and that I know is going to move the needle, but if you're just so focused on, well, I'm not saving the world, big picture, you might think that you're not actually making any progress if you're not actually seeing and recognizing that the day-to-day process is what you need to focus on each day.
And it's tough, man. It's like episode 1, we did nutrition. Like, why is nutrition so hard? Yeah, because it's hard. That's why. Like,
I'm on this diet for 2 days. I haven't lost 10 kilos.
Well, and any goals like that? Like, why is it so hard? Because it's worthwhile, man. Like, of course, it's going to be hard.
Okay, so that being said, where would someone start? Now, I mean, we could relate it back to the gym specifically, or not, but if you've got a person who historically has had bad experiences with trying to set goals and make progress, and maybe they're on that path we talked about before, they don't tend to be specific with their goals, where would they start? We know that setting goals and being specific with them is one aspect of it, but other than that, maybe on a practical sense, where would I start?
So you know Jordan Peterson?
I do, yes.
So, and if you guys haven't seen any of Jordan Peterson's stuff, I'd highly recommend you check it out on YouTube. I like what he talks about, because he's like, hey, start super low level. Ask yourself, what are you willing to change that you would change? And it can be, like he talks about, just making your bed. So start small, and then just like small accruing goals. That's what it's all about. And you just ask yourself the question, excuse me. So we just go, okay, well, I'd like to have a good day today. What can I do to ensure that happens? And then, before long, you'll start answering those questions. And he talks about in his videos as well. It's like, well, I've got this piece of homework that's been worrying me for the past 3 days. That'd probably take me all of 10 minutes. I'd be pretty relaxed if I knocked that over. And then the kitchen's been a bit of a mess, and that'll take me all of 20 minutes. And if I did that, I'd still be in time for, and just, it doesn't have to be like, I'm going to the CrossFit Games, that's my goal. It's like, well, hang on, why don't you clean your room and, sort out your email inbox.
Right. So doing like the 1%, the small 1%ers
that's
going to contribute in the
Do it as a little experiment. Do it and see how good you feel.
Okay.
And then you'll be like, oh yeah, this is actually, those guys on that podcast are onto something. And then it's like, well, hey, if making your bed feels that good, how about losing 5 kilos of fat, or cleaning up your nutrition, or developing your relationships?
And then each of those can be broken down once again into those small chunks.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Yeah. Cool. I reckon that's probably about it for today. So, thank you.
Thanks, bro.